There is a wall in science. Not a wall of ignorance, but a wall of category. We can map the brain down to the firing of a single neuron. We can watch electrical signals cross a synapse in real time. We can predict with startling accuracy what a person will decide before they've consciously decided it. And yet, none of that explains why any of it feels like something. This is what philosopher David Chalmers named, in 1995, the hard problem of consciousness. Not the easy problems, how the brain processes information, integrates memory, controls behavior. Those are solvable, eventually, with enough neuroscience. The hard problem is different. Why does all that processing come with an inner experience at all? Why isn't it just happening in the dark, mechanically, with nothing it is like to be you? Let's start with what science actually knows. Consciousness correlates with specific patterns of neural activity, particularly synchronized oscillations across the thalamus and cortex, a kind of electrical rhythm binding distant brain regions into one unified moment. Anesthesiologists exploit this directly. Disrupt that synchronization and consciousness disappears. Restore it and it returns. Neuroscientist Giulio Tononi went further, proposing integrated information theory, the idea that consciousness arises whenever a system integrates information in a way that cannot be reduced to its separate parts. By this theory, consciousness isn't unique to brains, it's a matter of degree, present anywhere sufficient integration occurs. This is where science quietly brushes up against something ancient. Because centuries before neuroscience existed, philosophers were already circling this same wall. Descartes split the world in two, mind and matter, res cogitans and res extensa, and could never fully explain how the two could touch. If mind and body are fundamentally different substances, how does a physical brain produce a non-physical experience? Dualism answers the hard problem by admitting it may be unanswerable within physical terms alone. Materialists disagree. Consciousness, they argue, simply is what certain physical processes produce, nothing extra required. But critics call this the explanatory gap. You can describe every physical event in the brain and still not derive, logically, why subjective experience should exist at all. And then there's a third position, growing in credibility again after centuries of dismissal: panpsychism. The idea that consciousness isn't produced by matter, but is a fundamental property of matter itself, like mass or charge. Not that rocks think, but that at the smallest scale, some flicker of experience may already be present, and complexity, like a human brain, simply organizes it into something recognizable as a mind. Now here is where it gets stranger. Long before Chalmers, before Descartes, before Western philosophy existed at all, the same question was being asked, in different language, in ancient India. The Upanishads describe Brahman, an underlying consciousness pervading all things, and Atman, the individual self, which they claim is not separate from it, but identical to it, a drop mistaking itself for something other than the ocean. Buddhist philosophy took a different route entirely. Rather than positing a universal consciousness, early Buddhist texts examined the self directly, meditatively, and found nothing solid. No fixed observer sitting behind experience. Just a rapid succession of mental events arising and passing that create the illusion of a continuous witness. The doctrine of anatta, not self, arrived at through direct introspection, something startlingly close to what modern neuroscience now suggests, that the unified I watching your life may be a construction, not a discovery. Two entirely separate traditions, thousands of years and thousands of miles apart, converging on the same unsettling suspicion, that the self you assume is watching may not be what you think it is. So where does that leave us? Science can tell you exactly which neurons fire when you see the color red. It cannot tell you why seeing red feels like anything, rather than simply happening, unlit, unfelt. Philosophy has spent 400 years formalizing the problem without solving it. And ancient contemplative traditions arrived, through entirely different methods, at a conclusion modern science is only beginning to take seriously. That consciousness may not be something your brain manufactures from scratch, but something your brain organizes, focuses, or perhaps even receives. We still don't know which of these is true. Possibly none of them fully are. But every method humanity has ever used to look inward, meditation, philosophy, neuroscience, keeps arriving at the same wall from three completely different directions. Maybe that convergence itself is the closest thing to an answer we have.